Welcome to the second lesson of the network analysis with HM-based model course. As always, we start with a short look to the previous day on works. High satisfaction from my side, a lot of contributions with a few surprises, because the 2 stars are very abundant, but a few 1 star are for the stars in the room. So better programmer, as rule Nicholas, left away the use of the extension.
20 minutes ago I sent you another sentence.
You left away the use of the extension. It was required. So the punishment, very hard, is losing a star. Terrible. But you are creating interesting models. But the best model with 3 stars is from Mail. Because it's also an artistic piece of code. It is very good code using NW. But have a look, it is very, very nice. Where is it? Sorry. Have a look. And now, surprise! Simply wonderful. Okay, but it's also very well done, I repeat, with using NW. It's not necessary to write tones or rows to obtain an interesting piece of code. And Mayet demonstrated that. Oh, sorry, I close the window. Yesterday, the file of the first hour of lesson was corrupted and it was impossible to save it. So no editing possibilities because I cannot save it. I tried to record it but unsuccessfully, and so I had to spend an hour to repeat the lesson. It's a bit strange. Yeah, because I want to have the collection online. It's a bit strange to talk alone in a room. It's about to be a bit crazy, not simple. And immediately distracted, because I am concentrating, because I am interacting with you. But if I am talking alone, my mind goes to the problem, the other problem. Okay, today, first of all, the content. From yesterday, maybe you remember, I was not able in retrieving from my mind the name of the sociologist who spent a lot of activity in defining and explaining how structural holes are determining new entrepreneurial possibilities. He is Professor Bird, Ronald Rowan Bird, and here you have also a link, let's check if it works, to JSTOR. You know, JSTOR is the repository of the papers published before the increasing of electronic journals, so it is a huge help in our researches. And I want only to check the file. Yesterday, sorry, this is the wrong program. Sorry. Yesterday, I controlled it. Yes, it works. Maybe with a few problems in downloading it, because we are not paying, but checking correctly, maybe it works. No, maybe simply to delete this part of the address. download. Okay, so it is better to put online this address and not the previous one. Okay. Yesterday, my page about the Java Enterprise Simulator was contained a lot of broken links. I fixed it. The files were existing. Simply moving from one server to another one, the internal structure was quite different. But now anything is working. You have the introduction, the auto use, a GIS left, so a small version just for didactic purposes, and other links. Also all the files related to this structure, which is Java upon Swarm shell. So to use it, you have to install Swarm. Next week, I will show you a running machine with a Swarm within using the technique of the virtual machines and using the free, I don't know if open, don't know, VirtualBox tool. Sure it is free. I don't know if it is open source, I don't know. Sorry, scusi signora, ha sbagliato sala, dall'altro lato. Ok. Finally, yesterday, I received the info that this tool is now in a strong basis, because in alpha and then beta distribution, this implementation of Python from Intel was already known. But now it seems to have reached the maturity of a full version. What we have here? We have an interesting tool for professional work, but sure, someone of you will develop interest in data analysis, in simulation, and in this case, the need of the speediness of computation can be very strong. And so we have to be aware that Intel, so the hardware company, has produced a version of Python for high performance computing. They have prepared the distribution related to Anaconda. Anaconda, you know, is the easy distribution of Python, installing anything, but with idiosyncratic behavior. So the versions and the contents are decided by people of Anaconda. Anyway, it is a simplification for our work. I will try, not now, but when I will have a bit of time, maybe increased vacancies, to install this tool. And for you, I want only to underline that here they are explaining somewhere. Sorry, yesterday I saw it, I don't saw it disappeared. That we can install this tool using Dockers. So just a bit of explanation if you are interested in developing. Here is here. I was looking for it. Conda package if you use Anaconda, or Docker images if you want to follow the Docker line. If you, in the future, will develop a strong application for data analysis and for simulation and for anyway using the computer in your researches, One of the tools that currently is more promising are the Dockers. Just a few words about that. Imagine that I am installing a crazy distribution of Python. I need to use X3 Python 2.6.4. I don't know why, but it's related to a given project. It's possible. I don't want to mix that installation with my regular use of Python, using Python 2.3.6.3 with its libraries. One of the possibilities is using the virtual environment. Here we create a virtual box where we include the lib and the tools we need. It's a bit tricky, but not so difficult. When we use MyBinder to run online Gits, as you saw, they create a virtual environment. Instead, they ask us to create a list of the requirements. The file is requirement.txt. This is typical of virtual environment. Second possibility, next week when we will be running Swarm in a virtual machine, so not environment, but machine. In this case, we have our machine, and within it we have all the contents of a virtual machine, and all means also the operating system. So in Mac, I can run Windows. In Mac, I can run Linux. There is a massively diffused tool for Mac, which is Parallel. But I don't use Parallel because it is costly, and I use VirtualBox. There are other tools to create and run virtual machines. The speediness of the execution is very high because this virtual machine will be interacting directly with the central processing units, if more than one of our computer. We can assign one or more central processing units to the virtual machine. As an example, in my machine, I have 2 processors simulating 4 processors. So apparently they are 4. Actually, they are only 2. But if you have a most powerful machine, maybe you have 4 or 8 processors. In this case, you can assign 2, 3, 4 processors to the virtual machine. And the speediness of execution is very high. There is a problem. A lot of space in your disk and also in memory, because you have to load, in my case, macOS as a basic system, and then, I don't know, Linux as host system. So we have the need of the space for 2 operating systems. Also, for backup strategies, this is very costly, because as you have a small modification within the virtual machine, the backup procedure will try to save all the virtual machine, not only the modified parts. So your backup disk becomes rapidly completely filled. The novelty, which is about 3 years old, so it is a novelty but not so new, is that of using Dockers. So this is 1, this is 2, and this is 3. Sorry. What a Docker is a space to organize containers in actual life, containers, huge boxes for sea transportation or any kind of transportation, and they are organized in Dockers. What a container is a set of elements that put together allow us to run a special application without duplicating the operating system. I will try to explain with the plot. You are not a specialist about that, but maybe in the future you will be interested in it. While using a virtual machine, while using a virtual machine, in my computer, I will have another computer, as an example, in Windows within Linux, with all the elements, or the full operating system. Using Dockers, we copy only the special needs for a given application. The problem is that a Docker prepared for Windows cannot run in Linux, and vice versa. But people preparing Dockers and putting them online are preparing several versions of the Docker. A version for Mac, a version for Linux, a version for, I don't know, different distribution different version of Windows, and so on. And you have only to download the Docker and run it. There are specialized environment to run Dockers. I have one of them. You see, the small image is a ship with containers upon. And here I can run different Dockers. This one of there are plenty of distribution of Docker. And this is a simple one. Currently running, but empty. So doing nothing. Stop. This is absolutely outside the scope of agent-based model in networks, but just for the novelty yesterday of the new version of Python from Intel, I had the idea, also supported by Nicholas, so blame him. Always joking. It's a good idea to joke. To make a short digression about this set of techniques. Homework we already saw. For tomorrow, the homework is tomorrow for the next week. Tomorrow we will have no lesson. Continue to familiarizing with network and with NW extension. Try to modify our model production world version 1 in NetLogo, and we will see it now in this lesson. Okay. Yesterday I forgot to add work groups are encouraged. I underlined that they are encouraged. Okay? Questions until here? In networks, we have to pay attention to time. And someone of you, also Mayet, in the wonderful application she sent us, she sent me, and I have been showing to you, is using time, so the events modifying the network. A nice example is this one, a group of students of mine from the master degree in system of complex, physics of complex systems. Have been working upon the transportation in Torino, and this is a typical case of an evolving network, because this is you have the clock here, and as you change the view, you see that people are spreading around, and then after 12 hours we have the reverse, half hours. After 24 half hours, we are back to the original situation. This is the byproduct of a network running, and the agents there are persons moving from home to school, home to work, home to leisure, and vice versa. And we, because I helped them to obtain the data, we obtained the data by public transportation utility of Torino. Sorry, this is an error. I have to switch off this window. Okay. Back. So, from now on, we will try to pay a lot of attention to the evolution of our systems upon time. Just another example in a quite different field, but very interesting, that of swarm intelligence. It is a use of swarm in a different perspective if we compare it with the original shell for simulation. There, the swarm was intended to be a collection. This class contains a collection of people. Okay? And we can build a simulator to reproduce our behavior. Yesterday, one of you was asking me why models. Why to try to create a model? I try to interact with you. Because we wanted to experiment modifications, experiment different organizations, experiment how to guess the evolution of the system. All things that we cannot do in the reality. We need a tool to make what social scientists have a lot of difficulties to do. We have no laboratory. So it is an artificial laboratory. Okay? The second way of using swarm as a concept is that of looking at the intelligence of the collection of agents. You can do that with the swarm shell, but it's a completely another perspective. How people interacting are generating results. This is very common studying flocks of birds that are moving around, creating complicated structure of movement. Here there is a very nice website just to understand that this is a network emerging from the agents and generating intelligence. So it is a completely different perspective, but if someone of you can be interested in doing something close to this kind of experiments within software, we have no money to create a simulation like these ones. It would be very interesting. You see here, we have agents interacting and doing collectively operations. What they are used for? But first of all, to experiment with intelligence. Sure. But the goal of this kind of work is about, as an example, security. You have a fire in a building, you have to try to help people to escape. You send small robots coordinated by their collective intelligence to help people to exit from the building, and so on. Each unit has on board calculation capabilities. And this is the swarm intelligence field of studies. Maybe someone of you, having here the time, because here it is an evolution of the network of the agents upon time, someone of you can be interested in having a deep look to this kind of research. This is not my field, but it's just to inform you that we have a completely important field to be explored for us. Stop. Now we move to the idea of the network arising from the production of goods. And quotation mark, our model is a production world where the information, as I have introduced yesterday, is contained in recipes. So our field is this one. We have production unit. Let me name factories. Let me name them as factories. And these small squares are factories. In the final version of our simulation, maybe this factory is able in doing the production process number 3, also this one, this is able in doing the process 4, this is able in doing the process 1 and 2, and this is able in doing again the process 4. Clearly, you see immediately that here we have a bottleneck. This system is constrained by this structure. If we have recipes for producing goods like 3, 4, 1, 4, sorry, and 2, or worst case 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. This is a crazy situation because 4 steps are managed by the same unit. And finally, the last step has 2 possible solutions, but the bottleneck is here. One of the reconstructions of actual firms in Piedmont using JEES, you remember JEES, Java Enterprise Simulator, has been successfully concluded after 3 different steps of work, clearly individuating a bottleneck in a firm. 3 students having no direct knowledge of the firm but interacting for the description of the different steps of the production with the employees of the firm. When the work has been concluded, I discussed with the entrepreneur the result, and his reply has been contemporary, a bit a problem, but also a satisfaction, because he told me, oh, correct, I solved the bottleneck 1 month ago, duplicating a sector. Yeah, after how many years? 5 years. Our thesis only 1 year. 3 theses, 1 year. So, a success in some way, because examining the firm externally, we found the same problem that internally after 5 years they discovered. In this case, imagine to run this recipe, the order containing this recipe. I animate upon time the events. This is time 1. This recipe moves the order or here, because we have 2 possible solutions for the step 3 in production. This is a sector, I don't know, the capability of doing something about the production with the technique number 3. How do we choose? Several possibilities. We can ask for prices and choose the less costly unit. We can ask for queues, so search the unit having the shorter tail of production to be done. We can ask for quality, or maybe we have financial links with this unit and not with this one. So a lot of different possibilities of choosing. The order moves here, and the other one moves here. Then this step is deleted. Okay. Time 2, this jumps here or here. 2 possibilities. Imagine that it jumps here, and this step is eliminated, and this one make an auto link because it is the same unit, and this step is deleted, and so on. Continue, and you will have a network of factories emerging from the action described in by the information contained in the orders. It is a very, very simple idea, but I have used it in several applications with nice results, because it is a way to specify the information process within a system of actions. I hope to find also the possibility of applying this kind of techniques to business process analysis. Is another very important field. Business process analysis is related to the organization of the internal processing steps in any kind of private or public organization. To reorganize or to organize from scratch or to improve a system, you have to try not to add computer science application upon an existing organization, but to re-engineer anything from scratch. It's not simple. Professor Simon, the Nobel Prize in Economics, Herbert Simon, devoted his life to very different fields, at least three. The first one, the field of rationality, because from Professor Simon we obtained the idea that we are not perfectly rational, we are boundedly rational, and this is making a lot of difference in economic results. The second idea is the huge development of artificial intelligence. We are in the 70s, they were very limited by the hardware of the computer, but they made an incredible result. One of the line of work of Professor Simon has been the automatic demonstration of all the theorem of Bertrand Russell book on maths. The 80 theorem already demonstrated, plus one not discovered by Russell, but discovered by the artificial intelligence construction. So one of you remembers the wonderful treatise of Bertrand Russell. The title is in Latin. It will emerge from my mind. Maybe he was the last philosopher being also a mathematician, or the last mathematician being also a philosopher. Leibniz was both, sure. Also Newton, but then too difficult. Stop. All elements coming, sorry. The third line of work of Professor Simon has been that of the behavior of the organization. If you have time, plenty of time, because it's a huge book, try to read his book, Administrative Behavior. He wrote it all his life. Finally, it was the 9th edition, but always new. Administrative behavior.
Not the one with the march.
It is very Simon.
Simon and March.
Yeah, but the stronger support is Simon, because you have editions coming from the time when he was young. March, the contribution of March is about experiments and observation, very important. March has been also working with an Italian professor named Massimo Gidi. Massimo Gidi has been also director of the University of Trento and of the Lewis University in Rome, and other important economists working in artificial intelligence. So a wonderful work. Anyway, science is the best. We had also a period of, we had for a few weeks Simon in Torino, and we had the possibility of knowing him. He was very young, so a lot of years ago, to interact with him and to have the opportunity of participating to his seminars. Stop digression. Now we start building the model. Thanks for remembering Professor March. Bertrand Russell, the book Principia Mathematica, the principle
like
in mathematics. Sorry?
Like the Newton one?
Yeah. Okay. Now we move from the star to the heart. And in going to the heart, we look at this model. You have it online. Please remember that to download from our online repository, you have to right-click with the mouse and to choose the right line of the possibilities. Are all different in different systems and operating system browser, but one is that of download the file. And you download the file without modifications. If you click on it, it will appear in the browser with all the infos necessary to display it. So the file will be not working. Just verify. Our repository is here. Terna, Twitter, Networks, 2017. Second lesson. If I left click on this file, it is within the browser. If I save it, a lot of characters that we cannot see but are there will destroy the file. It will not work. Also, if you go down, you have all the infos about the structure of NetLogo. NetLogo is saved as characters, so anything is there. Instead, on the name of the file, right-click and look. This is in Italian and Mac and Safari. So it will be completely different in your versions, but someone like this. Download the linked file with name. I am translating. Something close to this exists. And then you have a window with the name of the file, a destination, or something close to that. Mac has a very strange behavior. People using the Mac in the room are you and you and you. A Mac has a strange behavior. It saves the file with a double extension nlogo.txt. Simply delete txt and it will work. I don't know why. I have no explanation for that. Oh, my suggestion to everyone is to choose the option in your operating system, Windows, Linux, Mac, it is not important. Choose the option of displaying the extension of the files. This is very important. The extension is nlogo, is doc, is XLS, is to simplify understanding our files. This is an option. Any operating system has it. Back. Now I open this file. And I will examine it, will be examining it with you very, very slowly and in details. First of all, I want to underline that you now are discovering my line of work with huge problems. If the problem is trivial, we write 10 rows of code, we execute it. If there is an error, we will discover it immediately, no problem. But if the problem is complicated or complex, the difference is important, because complex means with the emergence of behavior that we are not able in imagining ex ante. we will discover them only executing the code. If we are working in a complicated case like this on the screen now, it is absolutely important to work with different steps of our coding. The first step, we will be doing very few actions, but we can control if it works. Then we will modify it, adding new features. It is absolutely wrong to try to build a complicated tool with all the features, all the elements in the first version, because we cannot control it. It is impossible to be sure that all the parts will be well working. So it is a good idea instead to prepare a first version with only a part of the elements to improve it, to check well it, to improve it, and so on 3-4 times. Also taking a diary of our work. The diary is very important if you are doing a scientific work and if someone is asking you, why have you doing that? What the effect? What the result? So you have to take a note of the making of your model. The model on which I am currently working, the oligopolistic market, it is here, as a diary about the construction. Obviously, I don't find it now. Is it this one? With the last modification were of the end of August, with an index and all the version, all documented in GitHub, to be sure that I can jump back to previous version and to understand the path that generated error or misbehaving situations. And it is now more than 50 pages of notes, only notes about what I've been doing. It is costly, sure, a lot of time, but it's the unique way to be sure when someone is asking you for explaining your result that you can reply with a strong content from the scientific point of view. Okay? Replication in models is a absolutely important way of doing science. There are journals devoted uniquely to publish replication of existing papers. Okay? Now, our first step, quite simple. Remember that what we are doing is to build a world like this. This is our space. In this space with setup, we now have always the virtual place where orders are arising. We don't explain the market, so when an order is generated, it is here. We don't explain the consumer behavior generating the order. If you want to do that, it is a wonderful implementation of another part of the model, and you go close to the construction of an economic world. Not easy. My work in the field of the oligopolistic market as workers, their income, their decision about consumptions, and the effect on the oligopolistic firms. So it is not completely closed, but it is anyway a step toward a complete description of an economy. Here we have the orders not explained, and we generate them with this procedure. Now, first of all, we will have a look to the setup and to the generation of the orders. You see, as I generate an order, I can explore it as we were doing yesterday, and to see it its content. In this case, the recipe describing what we have to do to produce this order is made of 4 steps, the 3, the 4, the 3 again, the 3 again. Okay? Questions until here? Please stop me because things are becoming more and more complicated. Okay? Can I continue? So now we have to look to set up and to generate. Set up, don't blame me because here there is no extension MW. You could do that, but the network has not been introduced at this level. We have no network. The network will be introduced in the successive version next week, just to create a different level of complexity. We have 2 breeds, the breed of the orders and the breed of the factories. The breed of the orders contains a recipe variable. To set up, we clear the world, we create a patch of destined to contain the new orders, a virtual space. We make firms and we reset ticks. Remember that to reset ticks is very important if you want to create plots and then to use a tick. Someone of you in the homework asked me why my plot is not reporting result. Sure, because tick was not used. The plots of NetLogo are controlling the time, and as a tick increases the time, the plot is integrated with the new values. If you don't move tick, the plot is empty. Make firms within setup is a separate procedure, this one. We create num of factories coming from the interface, 10 in this case, with a shape and with a random position. What is missing? Let's verify if we are paying sufficiently attention to our construction. There is an element missing at this level if you compare this with this. Correct. We will introduce the type of activity, the specialization of each firm in a successive version. Here, firms are completely not identified with the quality, with the sector, with the capabilities. All the firms are doing anything. Okay? Thanks for your intervention. It is exactly what I was trying to explain before. I will add this important detail. I not start with it because first of all I want to have a working first version of the model. Maybe I am annoying underlying that, but is the unique way you can be sure of creating complicated models step by step. Simple, less simple, complicated, final. The second element to be described is generate orders. This is more close to the final version because generate orders, which is here, is creating a unique order per action. Then we will have, I don't know, 100 order for each hit of the button, creating not single orders, but batches of orders. But in this version, we create a unique order in each action. We define, oh, sorry, I have to enlarge. We define a shape, we define a size, and we set the order in the virtual place. bottom left corner of our word, which is closed. We decide randomly the length of the recipe. Random max recipe length is generating, in this case, this is 5, a random integer number between 0 and 4, strictly less 5. I don't want to have the step 0 because the step 0 will be used to stop the execution of an order as default value. And so I add 1. The recipe length will be from 1 to 5, having this random number from 0 to 4. We create the empty list. We created the empty list of the recipe. We repeat. Repeat is an interesting structure of NetLogo, simply repeating the execution of a set of code. In this case, we repeat the number of steps to be introduced in the recipe. If here we have generated 3, this will be repeated 3 times. Okay? And this is the annoying structure of the NetLogo append, so simple in Python. List.append an item. The item will be the last of the list. And here we have put in the list named recipe as last element this new element, 1 plus random number of sectors, at the end of the previous value, the previous content of recipe. Okay? Any doubt here? Any problem? Number of sectors will be the different competencies, types of the production made by the firms, but currently factories are unspecific. Anyway, in this example, you see that from the execution we add, in this case, this recipe. Competence 3, competence 4, 3 again, 3 again. Okay? Now let me save the file because I don't want to lose it again.